Give them a cleavage. People want cleavage. Showcase it.
Sex sells.
Sex sells. That's me.
That's against religion.
It's not within the confines of marriage.
I go to bed at like midnight or sometimes even later. And then when we are here in Tulsa together, we don't go to bed the first night until like 3-ish because we stay up talking because it's like a slumber party.
Right. You're catching up with your best friend.
The story is that Erika Kirk was having an affair. Charlie hired a private investigator to kind of follow her and see what was going on. And then he took her out of the will. So Turning Point USA, all of the merch, none of that goes to her at all. It just goes to their 2 children. And boy, did they make a lot of money on that merch too.
And they're alleging that he abused them at a children's shelter in Bucharest, Romania. The allegations include children being tied to radiators, being made to kneel down on walnut shells, being touched inappropriately, and being pimped out for sex. Now,
the internet is ablaze with one of the most explosive scandals to hit conservative circles in recent memory. Allegations have surfaced claiming that Erika Kirk, widow of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk, was involved in extramarital affairs with multiple men within the organization itself. These aren't just baseless rumors floating around social media. Former insiders, whistleblowers, and even prominent conservative voices are now speaking out about what they claim really happened behind closed doors at TPUSA. According to emerging reports, the situation was so serious that Charlie Kirk allegedly removed Erika from his will. Sources claim he even hired a private investigator to track her movements and confirm his suspicions. If true, this paints a drastically different picture from the grieving widow narrative that's been presented to the public over the past several months. In what many are calling a carefully orchestrated public relations campaign, Erika Kirk has been making the media rounds, conducting interviews and public appearances that have left many people questioning her authenticity. One particularly notable interview took place in Charlie's home office, the very space where he built his empire. Yet observers were quick to point out something strange. Their wedding photo was conspicuously absent from the background. This detail might seem minor, but when combined with everything else, it adds to a growing list of inconsistencies that people are noticing. The latest allegations circulating online suggest Erika wasn't just unfaithful with random individuals, but rather with men who worked directly inside Turning Point USA, an organization that has always branded itself around faith, family values, and traditional conservative principles. The irony isn't lost on anyone. Here's an organization that preaches moral integrity and traditional marriage values, yet allegations are emerging that suggest serious violations of those very principles at the highest levels of leadership. Perhaps the most heartbreaking revelations come from reports about Charlie Kirk's behavior in his final days. According to conservative commentator Candace Owens, who has been vocal about the entire situation, Charlie had stopped wearing his wedding ring and was sleeping in his daughter's bedroom instead of sharing a bed with Erika. These aren't small details. When a married man removes his wedding ring and chooses to sleep separately from his spouse, it signals serious marital problems. The question everyone is asking, what did Charlie discover that led to such drastic changes in his behavior? If the allegations are accurate, it would certainly explain Erika's bizarre conduct over the past 5 months since Charlie's passing. Instead of displaying the typical signs of grief, she's been photographed at events with fireworks, smiling broadly, conducting back-to-back media interviews while dressed glamorously, and even boasting about Turning Point's financial success following Charlie's death. In one particularly tone-deaf moment, she referred to Charlie's memorial service as the event of the century, seemingly more focused on the production value than the loss of her husband. The standard excuse that everyone grieves differently is wearing thin for many observers who see a woman appearing relieved rather than bereaved. Let's examine the facts about Erika Kirk's background because it reveals a lot about the authenticity of her public persona. Erika holds multiple degrees and has run various business ventures. She didn't marry Charlie at age 22, fresh out of Bible study, as the traditional conservative wife narrative might suggest. Instead, she married at 34 to a man who was actually younger than her. Before that, she had what many would call her party years. She dated extensively and built a career. In essence, she embodies exactly the type of modern, career-focused woman that she now publicly criticizes through her conservative tradwife branding. This contradiction raises serious questions. Was the entire conservative Christian wife image simply a marketing strategy designed to appeal to Turning Point's audience? And if she was willing to construct such an elaborate public persona, what else might she be hiding? Erika has publicly claimed she didn't date anyone for 5 years before meeting Charlie Kirk, but photographic evidence and social media receipts tell a completely different story. Documentation exists showing she was romantically involved with multiple men during that period, including Cabot Phillips, J.T. Massey, former Survivor contestant Joe Anglim, and basketball player Josh Harrelson. Those are just the relationships we have confirmed evidence of. There could be more. So, if she's demonstrably lied about her dating history before marriage, what does that say about her claims of faithfulness during marriage? Critics argue that someone who didn't match Charlie's typical type and who married him relatively late after an extensive dating history might not have suddenly become the devoted traditional wife she portrayed. Here's where the story takes an even darker turn. Several former Turning Point USA employees who were recently terminated, allegedly for questioning Erika's leadership, are now coming forward with explosive claims. These whistleblowers allege that Erika's infidelity didn't stop at the altar. They claim she continued romantic entanglements after marrying Charlie, specifically with men working inside TPUSA. Even more disturbing are reports that she allegedly mocked Charlie behind his back, making derogatory comments about his appearance, calling him naive, and laughing at his expense with these other men. If true, this represents not just betrayal, but cruel humiliation of a man who had trusted her and elevated her to a position of influence within his organization. One name that repeatedly surfaces in these allegations is Cabot Phillips. For those unfamiliar, Cabot Phillips is a conservative media personality who is also married. He wed Emma Meschel in September 2020. Erika and Charlie married in December 2021. But the timeline of Erika and Cabot's relationship raises serious red flags. Photographic evidence from late 2017 shows Cabot and Erika together on what he himself captioned as a couple's painting date. But here's the bizarre part. There's also a photo from that same time frame showing Cabot playing basketball with Charlie Kirk. Think about that for a moment. How does someone date a woman whose future husband he's already friends with, and then both parties pretend they don't know each other later? Fast forward to 2018, and Erika goes to interview for a position at Turning Point USA, claiming during the interview process that she had no idea who Charlie Kirk was. She described being grilled on philosophy, politics, religion, and culture during what she thought was a business meeting. But if Cabot Phillips was dating Erika in 2017 while simultaneously hanging out with Charlie, there's virtually no possibility that Erika was unaware of who Charlie Kirk was. This has led some observers to wonder, was the entire meeting staged? Was Erika's hiring and eventual marriage to Charlie part of some larger plan? The conspiracy theories get even more elaborate when considering testimony from Mitch Snow, a former Special Forces operative. Snow claims that both Erika and Cabot Phillips attended a secret military meeting at Fort Huachuca the day before Charlie's death. He states he personally saw someone matching Erika's description with a man matching Cabot's description in the lobby. Whether you believe this testimony or not, what happened immediately after Charlie's death is indisputable and extremely suspicious. Within days of Charlie's passing, Erika appointed Cabot Phillips, her alleged ex-boyfriend, to replace Charlie on college speaking tours. Cabot Phillips works for the Daily Wire, an outlet that had publicly feuded with Charlie Kirk. The Daily Wire also took over Charlie's show for appearances just 6 days after his death. So Erika's ex-boyfriend, who works for an organization that had beef with Charlie, who allegedly already knew Charlie while dating Erika, is now being given Charlie's speaking positions? The optics alone are incredibly damaging. But Cabot Phillips isn't the only name being mentioned. Turning Point insiders are alleging that Erika had multiple affairs and frequently pursued younger men within the organization. While these remain unconfirmed allegations, several names keep appearing in these rumors. Jack Posobiec, TPUSA correspondent, Brandon Schubert, strategic director for TPUSA's high school program, and Nathan Nugabout, advisory council member at Turning Point. Looking at these men's profiles and comparing them to Erika's documented dating history, they do appear to fit her typical type much more closely than Charlie did. While there's no hard proof of these affairs, the pattern of allegations from multiple independent sources is concerning. Perhaps most troubling are the claims from former employees that Erika was already positioning herself to take over Turning Point USA even before Charlie's death. According to these sources, she was giving orders, making executive decisions, and speaking on behalf of the organization in ways that made longtime staff uncomfortable. Anonymous insiders describe strange occurrences whenever Erika became involved in Turning Point events. Employees would be removed from positions without explanation and replaced by people nobody recognized. There were requests for redundant background checks on already vetted volunteers, internal communications being rerouted through unverifiable systems, and access requests to attendee information that had nothing to do with her role. One source stated bluntly that Erika was already functioning as CEO before Charlie died. She was issuing commands, overriding decisions, and essentially marginalizing Charlie in his own organization. When Charlie attempted to push back, she would reportedly talk over him as if he didn't matter. Then, within days of his death, the official announcement came. Erika Kirk was now CEO of Turning Point USA. To longtime employees, this felt less like an emergency succession during tragedy and more like the culmination of a plan that had been in motion for quite some time. Candace Owens has brought additional attention to peculiar details from the night before Charlie's death. According to Erika's own account, she sent Charlie to sleep in their daughter's room so he could get good rest before an important event the next day. But Candace raises an excellent point. If you wanted your spouse to sleep well, wouldn't you take the uncomfortable sleeping arrangement yourself? More significantly, Erika mentioned that Charlie snuck in the next morning to grab his wedding band. This raises the obvious question, why wasn't he wearing his wedding ring? For a married man to remove his wedding band and sleep separately from his wife suggests serious marital discord. Was Charlie already contemplating divorce? Had he discovered something unforgivable about Erika's conduct? Even if only a fraction of these allegations prove true, they paint a disturbing picture of what was happening inside Turning Point USA. The combination of alleged affairs with multiple men within the organization, suspicious timing around Charlie's removal from his own company, secret meetings, and the rapid consolidation of power following his death all point towards something far more complex than a simple tragedy. It raises fundamental questions about how much of Erika's public image was authentic and how much was performance. Were these relationships genuine, or were they strategic moves in a larger game? How long was this planning in motion? And perhaps most importantly, who else knew what was really going on? The conservative movement has always positioned itself as the defender of traditional values, family integrity, and moral leadership. If these allegations are substantiated, it represents a massive betrayal not just of Charlie Kirk personally, but of the millions of young conservatives who believed in Turning Point's message. This story is far from over, and more revelations continue to emerge daily. If you want to stay updated on the latest developments in this scandal and other stories that mainstream media won't cover, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. Share this video with anyone who needs to know the truth about what's really happening in conservative media. The truth matters, and together we can demand accountability from those who claim to represent our values. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on these allegations. Do you think there's truth to these claims, or is this all just conspiracy theories? Let's discuss. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.